Hey, everybody, welcome back to another online session of Zappletech with our test automation series. Can you believe this? I think I've been doing this for 2 years on this, sharing the reins with my with Larry Goddard, and it's always been a pleasure to be here, and I'm happy to be back again. Here it is, February, and doing a whole lot of stuff. A lot of cool things going on. I actually wrote a book on test automation called Enhanced Test Automation with WebDriver IO, and I'm also working with codeless test automation. I don't get a chance to talk that much about on the sessions here because we have actually two great speakers we're going to be doing for the next 2 hours. Starting off, I believe, with Jan Sabak, who's going to be talking about using ChatGPT in the tester's work. And then following right after that, we got Benjamin Bischoff, who's going to be identifying code smells, the things that code just when you haven't quite written it correctly. And in fact, Jan could probably speak to that because in fact, I use ChatGPT myself and some other AI tools in order to write my code better when I'm working in Java, JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, whatever it is that we have out there. Again, I do want to thank Zappletech for hosting these events and doing this over here. I believe Jan might be in the ready room over there. Hi, Jan. How are you doing today?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Weather is not very good, but I manage.
Hopefully it improves. So one thing to remind all our viewers here is that we do have this live streamed up on YouTube, and also there's another section that we can see it on the restream. There are questions that you can ask on YouTube of Jan at the end of the session. We will get to them we'll have a Q&A on that whole session, so please join in, chat over there, and I'll actually be trying to answer some questions if there's anything out there as we go. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Jan, and hopefully everything works well. We can share your screen. We can see some slides. I see some slides up there, so it looks great. Jan, it is all yours.
Thanks for the warm introduction. I am very honored to be with you. Today's my topic is about testing in AI. I have been testing for a little bit less than 30 years for now. I am a programmer because I have a master's degree in computer science, but whole my work I have been testing. Test automation, especially load testing, is my cup of tea. So when I started to look at ChatGPT, I thought, what could I do with this tool? And now I am going to share some of my thoughts with you. So first of all, ChatGPT, because I will be fixing ChatGPT. You can use other tools that are similar. I will be talking about large language model tools because these tools are easiest to use because there is no big threshold when you start to use these tools. And ChatGPT in its name has chat. Chat meaning dialogue, meaning talking, meaning listening, meaning writing. So chatting with artificial intelligence, chatting with a tool. So ChatGPT is good in generating texts. So remember, if you want to read text, if you want to prepare some code, some analysis, this sort of stuff, ChatGPT is good with that. If you want to work with pictures, videos, data, especially numbers, ChatGPT is not good with that. So ChatGPT is good in answering questions, solving problems. So you write and ChatGPT answers. Probably most of you have tried ChatGPT and you know what I am talking about. But ChatGPT is also good in assistance in data analysis and in coding, meaning you provide data and ChatGPT reads the data, analyzes analyzes and prepares some texts based on the data you have provided. So these are main general features of ChatGPT. And ChatGPT has also some limitations because it's only a tool. It's a tool. You have to use it in proper way. You have to know its limitations, because if you try to use it outside of its limitations, you will get bad results. Probably you have heard about hallucinations. Yeah. So ChatGPT and LLMs do not always provide 100% accurate answers. So you always have to check, because sometimes, or maybe usually, you can just copy and paste the answer, for example, a piece of text or a piece of code, and use it. But it's better to read it, because your mileage may vary, actually. So ChatGPT has also some limitations in understanding of the context and specifics of the problems. Why? It's because ChatGPT only knows what was in the internet. Yeah, ChatGPT was fed, you can think about that it was fed the contents of the internet from the beginning now up till April 2023, as far as I remember. And these contents of the internet were analyzed and were modeled in this large language model. So there are many problems which ChatGPT will not help you with. For example, if you have specific or data which is not public, or text which are not public, they were not fed into ChatGPT, and you cannot you cannot use this data. You cannot ask ChatGPT about this data. Of course, there are additional tools based on OpenAI ChatGPT. You can provide your own context, your own data, your own documents, and let ChatGPT analyze it. For example, our company provided ChatGPT with a price list, and now you can ask about prices of our training courses. So that's how it works. But generally, only the more general the question is, the better the answer will be. So know your limitations. Know the limitations of ChatGPT. Okay, and know as well, especially if you work for a corporation, that you may have some troubles with using of AI, for example, data leaks. And know that in some instances, ChatGPT learns from you. So, for example, if you provide it with a piece of code or a piece of documentation, it may be used for further learning of ChatGPT. So if you are not allowed to use your proprietary data or proprietary texts, documentation, it's better to not use it with ChatGPT. So general questions are okay, but providing ChatGPT with your specific project documents or specific code may not be okay with your corporation, within your corporation. So remember about data leaks. The second problem is IP rights, because as far as I know, and I asked a colleague of mine, a lawyer dealing with IP rights, and she said that there are no IP rights for what ChatGPT or generally AI produces. So, for example, when you are a tester, automation tester, and you should write test automation script during your work, and when you ask ChatGPT, please write a script testing such and such page, it's feasible. I will show you that you can do that. the IP rights, the rights for this piece of code are non-existing. So you have to take this piece of code, you have to incorporate it in your work and tell it that it's your work, because there are no IP rights for AI produced text or code. And further troubles are ecology, because maybe not. You have thought that like in Kubernetes, like in Azure or AWS and such cloud services, ChatGPT is also a cloud service. But there is, I think, a couple of percent of today's usage of current electricity is only for AI. So using AI leaves CO2 footprint. Remember that. So if you think about ecology, maybe you should think about first about other types of systems, and if they are not good enough for you, then you should switch to AI. And costs as well, because if you want to use if you want to use virtual machines with AI, it costs several dollars per hour. If you want to buy your cards for your own farms, such cards cost thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. So using AI is not cheap. Okay, so remember, AI, ChatGPT can do some or more, a lot of good for you and your work and your project, but there are some limitations, as I said earlier, and there are some troubles you may find as well. So, okay. And yeah, probably you think whether ChatGPT will take your job or not. So let's look at what ChatGPT thinks about that. During preparations for this talk, I asked, it was DALL-E, for preparing a picture with the title of "Utilization of AI in Software Testers' Work." Yeah, so DALL-E works preparing a prompt from my text. So my text was utilization of AI in software testers' work. Then my text was switched to prompt, and prompt, according to the prompt, this picture was generated. So these pictures on the right-hand side of the slide is generated by AI. But look at the prompt. Prompt is a vector image of a computer monitor showing a software application being tested by AI. Okay, that was my idea. Algorithm with representation of bugs being identified and fixed automatically. So when ChatGPT or DALL-E thinks about utilization of AI in software testers' work, AI itself thinks that bugs will be identified and will be fixed automatically. It's like it's half a joke actually, because for now there is no tool, as I'm aware of, which is able to identify and fix bugs automatically. But when I was pondering about whether AI will take my job or not, I thought that not yet, but maybe in some future, testers will not be needed, testers as such. Why? Because the process of producing software will not require quality assurance or quality check. Let me show you something. Yeah, here. Here I have a ChatGPT. Yeah, good. And preparing for other webinar, I needed a simple applications to show the test data preparation for test automation. I have a simple app, web app. I will show you it to you later. But I needed a simple form with some test data. As you can see, first name, middle name, last name, address, date of birth, and I put a prompt, generate Python with Flask, because I work with Python mainly. I know Flask, yeah, called a simple app for training a test automation skill. And app should consist from one form asking for the following data, and entered data should be displayed in alert. Simple logic, yeah. And what have I got? I got pip install Flask. Okay, it's obvious. Then I got a Flask code of the backend of the application. Then I got some template, HTML template. Yeah, it's automatically generated by ChatGPT, and then simple some bullets how to run this application. Yeah. So and I have copied this code and this code into PyCharm project, and I have run like Python app.py, and it works. Yeah, so I haven't written any single line of code, yeah, and I've got a simple application. Okay, it's very simple logic, but did I need to test it? Maybe. Okay, maybe I should have tested, but it generally worked. During my webinar, someone asked about unit test for this application. So I told ChatGPT, generate unit test for this application, and I got Python code for unit test. Haven't run them because it was live during webinar, so I don't know if it works. But generally, I have two endpoints, main endpoint and submit endpoint, and I have automatically generated unit test for the simple app with some data and with assertion. Yeah, you know that test automation means automating good or well designed test cases. Yeah, so let me check, because I have some comments related to data leakage. Isn't it true that there is a way to disable data storage by ChatGPT? Yes, of course, it's true. You can disable it, and yes, yeah, it is true. Don't delve it into this subject. You can, but you must remember to do it. Yeah, so I ask of you, all of you, remember to disable usage of your data, or just don't use your data. The next, how will the AI know what is a bug and what is a feature behaving in a custom desired way? Yeah, that's the problem. Maybe it will not know. If you try, I will not show that today, but you may try to design actual test cases with ChatGPT or Copilot. We tried it with ChatGPT, and it more or less works. One of my colleagues tried it with Copilot. The prompt is design test cases for such and such application, and as I said, ChatGPT knows the internet. So if you are testing general e-commerce site, it is feasible. ChatGPT or Copilot can generate test cases. So it will not know whether your test cases are accurate or not. But more or less it will be okay. As I said, you can provide ChatGPT with documents. You can see here this little sign, and if you press it, you can upload your requirements, and you may try to work on these requirements. Yeah, okay, so you got Python code to test the implementation that what the app contained not work when you actually wanted. Yeah, of course, there are some limitations. I will not comment on that, but you are right. Okay, so going back to my slides. So my thoughts are that now we are indispensable. We as a testers are indispensable, but maybe in some maybe near, maybe not very near future, there may be the people may think out the process of producing applications without testing. Yeah. Okay. You know, there are some codeless or low-code web application tools, so maybe they will not need testing. Okay. So next subject I would like to tackle is how to write good prompts. So taking into account what I have said already, you need to describe the context, because when you write a very simple, very short prompt, the answer from ChatGPT may be very, very general. So use punctuation. If you use dot, colons, semicolons, question mark, and so on, ChatGPT can analyze that. You can use bullets. So ChatGPT can see that, can analyze that, and can work more properly on your prompt. It's good to provide examples of the answer. For example, if you want CSV file as an example, you can provide 1 or 2 lines of your CSV file or JSON file or XML file, and then your answer will be according to this template you have provided. Generally, the more text, the better. Yeah, so it's like communicating with people. The more you tell, the more you get. Yeah, the better answers, more accurate answers you will get. Yeah, and my actually preferred way of working with ChatGPT is dialoguing, chatting. Yeah, with him, her, or it. Especially put him, her, or it, and it here, because you may ask ChatGPT if ChatGPT is he, she, or it, and the answer is whatever you like. Yeah, and by the way, ChatGPT, as I said, is good with working with texts. So you may, for example, ask ChatGPT to converse with you in Cockney rhyming slang, or I don't know, other slangs. Yeah. So, and ChatGPT is good with it. It's also fun. So ChatGPT, maybe he, she, or it for you. It depends on your preferences. But anyway, getting back to the slide. Sometimes what I do, I just ask a question like I would ask my colleague. It may be a short question. I get the answer, and if I don't like the answer, I tell ChatGPT to fix this, fix that, fix what I need to be fixed. And through this dialogue, the answer is more accurate. So you don't need to start with a very detailed description of the context. But if you start, you will have your preferred or better answer faster. Okay, I have a comment. I see that you have to avoid to say please with ChatGPT. The response is not efficient when you are polite. I don't know really. My first thoughts about that, because I was curious. Should I say please to ChatGPT or not? My thoughts were that if ChatGPT is or has learned through reading internet content, maybe through Stack Overflow and other forums, people usually there use please. Yeah, they are polite. So if I am polite with ChatGPT, ChatGPT will be it will be easier for him, let's say him, for ChatGPT to find the answer within this documents it was learning from. So I was using please and thank you and so on, and it's polite and it's fun and it's good. For example, when I talk to my computer. Okay, I am a computer guy and I talk to my computer always. I have been talking to my computer from my first day of my university. So it's not very strange. It was not very strange for me to talk to ChatGPT. Yes, I talk to a computer. I can talk to a software. It's no problem for me. But as far as I know, there is no difference whether you use please or not. So now I am testing using and not using. I've noticed that there are people from Hungary, from Portugal, from Brazil. So remember to talk to ChatGPT in English, because I think 97% of texts used for ChatGPT learning were in English, and there is a difference when you ask ChatGPT in English and in my example in Polish, because I am from Poland. So first I started to talk with ChatGPT in Polish, and it's okay. It's okay. But during one of the talks with my colleagues, the colleague said, but 97% was English. Let's try if asking the same question in English will be better. And it was. Actually it was. The code provided after English prompt was much better than code provided or code derived from Polish prompt. Okay, I can see comment. I'm considering ChatGPT as my colleague, so I am using please and thank you. Yeah. Okay, so as I said, there is no data whether ChatGPT using please or not using please changes anything in answers of ChatGPT. But my experience is that using English language with prompts, it makes difference. And if you don't know English very well, you can ask or tell ChatGPT to translate the prompt for you. So provide the prompt in your native language, and then translate this prompt to English, and then use English. And it actually worked in one step, because I've made a prompt, translate this prompt into English and execute it. And it did. Yeah. So and result was the same as providing prompt in English. Okay. So this was theory. Let me show Yeah, okay. Let me show you some examples. I said ChatGPT is good with text, and code is text. So first scenario I would like to show is I needed to copy load test results from 30 machines because we were doing such tests for our clients. And I wanted to analyze them on my workstation. So I had 30 machines in the cloud, 30 IPs, and then I needed to have all results in my local workstation. So let's try it. Okay, so I have new conversation with ChatGPT. I will copy the prompt because the prompt is a little bit long. So generate scripts copying CSV test results from 30 machines of given IPs. Remote machines use Linux OS and can be connected via SSH. And assume that the files are in home directory. They should be stored in the directory as a script. So this is context. Yeah. So I provided context because if I haven't provided context, I don't know what I would get. Go. So it's, yeah, you probably have heard about live coding on during webinars. So here you have live prompting during webinars. Yeah, so, okay. Yeah, so I have bash script, okay, SCP. And I remember what I said about checking the results. You should know at least a little bit of what you're asking ChatGPT about, because I know basics of bash, so I can say that, yeah, I think more or less this script is okay, except it's not okay. It's completely not okay because my local machine is a Windows machine. I haven't written it here, so ChatGPT thought that all machines are Linux. Well, let's pick it. Yeah, it's generating the response. Okay, and then I don't need all this text. I need only the text of the script. So what should I do? Yeah, let's wait. Okay. So I need a batch script, Windows batch script. I need Windows batch script. Show me the script only without instructions. Okay. So as you can see, I have forgotten to mention that my local machine is Windows. Now I am getting the script, which is, this version is better, yeah, because it's Windows batch file, okay, and I don't have a little bit of text, but not this excessive instructions which I don't need. And one more thing, I would like to have these machines in a separate IP file, because I am using Ansible and I am using the text files for IPs. So I would like to provide IPs in separate file. Okay, I will give the name of the file. Machines. Okay. So let's go. And I will get probably a revised version of the script. Yeah, so as you can see here, machines, txt, and this is batch file, batch script for downloading from 30 or whatever number I need of machines. All the files will be on my computer. Okay, so this is the first example. As you can see, ChatGPT can help you if you need some technical detail, because my whole problem was load testing and analyzing test data, and AI nowadays is not capable of solving whole problems. So remember, when we will have AI capable of solving whole problems, it will be called artificial general intelligence, AGI. Maybe you've heard about AGI or AGI, however you would like to call it. And people say that AGI is will be the end of humanity. So, but that's for another time maybe. Okay, so next scenario. Next real life scenario is I needed to analyze error log from my server, because we are writing a simple web application, Flask application, and I didn't want to look through this log. So I asked ChatGPT to analyze this log. So let's try that. Okay, I will get new. New conversation. Here I have this sign, and let me. Okay, so it's error log. Okay, I am uploading this error log, and the prompt will be simple: analyze this file. Because I don't know what is in the file. Of course, I know access logs, I know error logs, but I don't. I'm a lazy guy. I don't want to think. So analyze this file. Let's check what I will get. And you can see something's different, because now ChatGPT is analyzing, meaning ChatGPT is producing a Python file. It's executing this Python file and after the execution of Python file, the answer is prepared. Okay, so yeah, it's unicorn, so it's Python. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so as you can see, ChatGPT writes some Python scripts for itself, executes this Python on the files you uploaded, and yeah, total number of log entries. Wow. 84,000 entries marked error logs. Okay. So yeah, so I have a very brief analysis of this file, error log, and here you can see this is file read displaying. Okay, so it read 500 lines first, and I should have. Oh yeah, there is a second. There is a second code. These are Python codes ChatGPT generated itself, and run against the file I uploaded. So yeah, so this is a JSON with the answer. I can drill down, for example, error count. I would, for example, analyze, or please analyze the errors, and so on and so on. You can chat with ChatGPT and ask questions, but remember there is some context length, and ChatGPT will start to forget what you talked about in the beginning of the conversation. So you cannot chat with ChatGPT like you do it with people. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I have some application errors, resource limitations, some external problems with external dependencies, configuration issues, and so on and so on. So here you have analysis of the error log file. But beware, as I said, now ChatGPT knows my error log, and if there are if there is sensitive data in this error log, you should not, or I should not have uploaded it. Okay. Okay. So. Yeah, as you can see, this is very simple. I have started working with ChatGPT on June last year, and first of all, I have started using it with my everyday tasks, like preparing dinner. Yeah, there's some recipes, like where sometimes I don't Google answers, I ask ChatGPT for the answers. It works. So if you're afraid to use it at work, you can start using ChatGPT with your private life. And it generally works. Of course, you have to check the answers, because if ChatGPT will tell you to put your house on fire, because this is the easiest way to earn money through, you know, the scenario. So don't do it. Okay. And do we have time? Yeah. Okay. I have a little bit of time, so I will show you actual test automation. ChatGPT can write test automation scripts. So let's assume that I need to write a script in Python with Playwright, which automates the steps of a test case on a specific page. Okay, so I have a very simple page I prepared. You can use it. It's called anticaptcha.amberteam.pl. It's, well, let's, yeah. So this is a couple of simple pages for learning test automations. Test automation with it was well, whatever. So let's take one of these exercises. My preferred is 3 buttons. So you here you have a okay, implement test automation that executes the following test case. Yeah, it's press button B1, B2, B2, and then check solution. Let's try it. B1, B2, B2, and then check solution. Okay, good answer. Okay, so I will ask ChatGPT to write this test script for this page. Okay, actual test script with locators, with all the stuff you need to run this test automation. So I need a link. Okay, and I need new conversation. Write test automation script for page up. Steps. And I have press B1 button, press B2, and press B2 button. Okay, press B1 button, press B2 button, press B2 button, press check solution. Okay, and as you can see, I am providing the link here. So what ChatGPT should do, it should access the link, it should download HTML or whatever is under this page, find locators, and then produce a script. I forgot to mention that I am automating. I have been automating for 30 years now, and I don't need all this setup, installation, and so. Okay. So I get Selenium. Okay. So I will get Selenium, not Playwright. We will fix that in a minute. Yeah, you can see here, find element by ID, button 1. Let's check if it's okay. And button 1, button 2, and solution. So let's check it. No, I have button 1. Okay, button 1, name, button 1, ID, button 1. Yeah, as you can see. And here I have button 2, and button 2, and check solution, ID, solution. Yeah, so ChatGPT must have accessed this exact page because because I have locators, control locators, actual control locators from the page. Yeah, so I could ask it to provide the script in it's in Python or it's Java. No, it's Python. Okay, so Python, my preferred language. Maybe ChatGPT preferred language too. So I could ask it to provide it with PyTest, with Playwright, with Faker, and other libraries, and provided the version of library is prior to April 2023, ChatGPT will use this library. Yeah. So as you can see, ChatGPT can write test automation script according to the steps you have provided. It's not very good with assertions. Maybe I have not thought proper prompt for the assertions. Okay, and yeah, my problem with that example is that it does not go into details when it comes to selectors. SEO-related things are missed in such way. But remember, test automation is about automating properly designed test cases. So if you are asking about SEO, about other things, first of all, you should prepare test cases. My test case is very simple. It has no assertion. It's not really a test case because it doesn't have an assertion. So most probably, if I provided more details, more steps, the script would be better. Yeah, and if you are automating not thoroughly thought out test cases, it can hurt your business. Yeah. And the question is, can ChatGPT read the contents of a link? Yes, it can. I am using a paid version of ChatGPT, by the way. So this talk may be treated as a very long and convoluted commercial of ChatGPT. Well, I am using a paid version of ChatGPT, and it has access to internet, and it reads contents of a link. Because if it didn't, this information was not provided by me. Okay, well, we can check. Use CSS locators. So let's check if it will use CSS locators. I'm not providing the locators. Okay, we have 9 minutes, more or less. So if you have questions, please ask. Meh. Okay. Okay, it's okay. It is proper CSS locator, but it's of course it's the same. Yeah? Hash in CSS locators means ID. So instead of using ID, it's using CSS locator. Okay. By the way, CSS locators in Selenium are fastest, and in Python, as far as I remember, this type of locators is anyway rewritten internally into this type of locator. Okay, so this is the last slide from me. If you have any questions, please ask. Of course, you are welcome to look at my profile on LinkedIn. Actually, this QR code is for my LinkedIn profile. It is prepared by AI as well. So
That,
if you, yeah,
Jan, that is the coolest QR code I have ever seen.
it is.
It blows me away that actually works. So that is amazing. I gotta go use that on that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can Google just enter AI QR codes. So there are a couple of tools in the internet. You can provide your picture, your photo, and use it as a basis of QR codes. So,
is that DALL-E or is that something else that's generating that for you?
What?
Is it DALL-E from ChatGPT?
No. It was not Jolly. It was, I think, it was some tool derived from DALL-E, but it was not DALL-E. I don't remember.
No problem.
I don't remember the tool. I just looked it up in the internet. So
we went, we go and Google it. ChatGPT hasn't done everything yet, so that's cool.
okay,
Google
I have. If I have a time, I have a question about example with XPath. So there are people who are using XPath. Okay, brave. No. Actually, it was for a long time. It was my preferred way because XPath is the most versatile locator tool in Selenium. Okay, we'll see. I don't think it will be better than CSS, but we'll see.
Can you share your screen one more time?
Okay. So can moderator show my screen? Because I am sharing it. But yeah,
thank
good.
you.
Thank you very much. Use XPath locators. But not based on ID. Let's see. Maybe XPath are too hard for it. There is a question in the meantime: is there a way we could integrate ChatGPT with our test automation code, or if we could build on ChatGPT specific? You could do it in two ways. First is explore ChatGPTs, so you can write or prepare actually your own chat based on ChatGPT. You can upload any document on preparing through this option. So, for example, you can put some style guides, code documentation, and then basing on its own knowledge, LLM model, and your documentation, it will prepare answers. So, okay, more or less, it's okay. So not ID, but text equals B1, text equals B2. Good. It's probably okay. Yeah, text equals. I am not very convinced that it will work because we have text B1 and B2. But getting back to incorporating ChatGPT in your tools, the other way, what actually we are doing in our company is using API of ChatGPT. ChatGPT has API. You can use it through, it's called Sandbox, Playground. Try ChatGPT Playground. Even if in a free version you can use it, ChatGPT Playground is www interface for the API, but using, for example, LangChain library, you can use ChatGPT API or open. It will not be ChatGPT anymore because ChatGPT is chat interface to API. So you will have in-depth interface to OpenAI APIs, and you can combine it with through LangChain library with your Python tools and any Python code actually.
Excellent.
So yeah, we are trying to prepare a tool not for test automation but for test case design, basing on test software requirements. So you upload your requirements, and then basing on your requirements, tool will prepare test cases.
Great. Thank you. I am really curious to play around with anti-captcha that you have there. Everyone listening on the session, I went and found the link that Jan was using as an example. I posted in our chat there. So I am always playing around with some sort of sandbox. If anyone, a little self-promotion, if anyone wants to play around with another sandbox and Toss Automation, candymapper.com is the one that I run out there, and has all sorts of cool stuff, including trying to log in with user credentials and set up an account. Jan, it has been a real pleasure. I love live demos. You are the kind of guy that I love watching and seeing things go. And I'm going to go find that link for that really cool QR code. I really appreciate your time that you spent with us, Jan.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have yourself a great day, Jan. Man, that was fantastic. I love playing with ChatGPT. I was just amazed with it a year ago when it came out. One of the things I wish I had it in time, I actually wrote a book with our other host, Larry Goddard, on how to do test automation with WebDriver.io. Give a little plug for my book out over there. Me and Larry, we switch off every month on this. And coming up next, we have someone I would have to say is essentially just like me, because he's got almost the exact same credentials on LinkedIn. This is Benjamin Bischoff. He's a conference speaker. He's a software development engineer in test. He's an author. He is a magician as well. I did that terribly. My French shop is a little bit better. Nice. Nice. And he speaks at conferences. And he also has a book He's writing API tests with karate. I have been dying to get into karate for like 5-6 years since it first came out, and I highly recommend that book. Um, so Benjamin is on screen over here. Hey Ben, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great. Glad to be here. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm having a ton of fun playing around with some low-code test automation tools. Test Rigger is one of them I'm playing with right now, where I just have to click the add to cart button, and it figures out where it is. A lot of generative AI stuff in there. I might actually do a session in a couple of upcoming months. But enough of that. That there, Ben. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and start the presentation? We'll have some questions at the end.
All right. Yeah. My presentation is shared. Yes. Wonderful. So you see it there. So hello to everyone. Of course, I'm here in Germany, but hello to you wherever you are, in what time zone you currently are. The topic now is identifying code smells. It is honestly quite tough to follow a great live coding presentation as we had before, but I'll try. So, yes, identifying code smells, that is the topic. But first, let's get me uh, out of the way here. My name is Benjamin Bischoff. I'm a test automation engineer at Trivago in Germany. You might have heard of Trivago. If not, that's okay, because that is not the topic right now. I've been 23 years in IT. First 15 years as a full-time 100% developer, and then I gradually slid into the testing world, and last 8 years I've been a software development engineer in test, which is much nicer, I have to say. But this is also the reason why this topic is so close to my heart, because I have been a developer. I have used all of these techniques in finding code smells. So whenever I write test code, I have those in mind. Yeah, like was mentioned, shameless plug. I also wrote a book. This is the book, Writing API Tests with Karate, about the Karate API framework. It's been out since last year, and yeah, if you are interested, please get it. A little disclaimer here. This talk is only about the identification of code smells, not how to fix them. I will show you some resources in the end that can help you to fix code smells when you encounter them, and also tooling that you can use to find them. I will show lots of code, and it's going to be all in Java, because Java is still the language I hate the least. Sorry for all the Python programmers, but I chose code that should be quite easy to understand, and I will also point out the relevant lines when we get there. Yeah, this is a slide just for me. When I prepare a talk, I like to just insert a slide that I think is funny. Smelly coat, smelly coat. If you don't know the reference of this, you're either too young or too old. I can tell you it's from the TV series Friends. And if you, hey, Paul knows it. If you don't find it funny, I'm very sorry. I think it's funny. But let's dive into the topic now. The term code smells, where did it actually originate? And it was in this book, Refactoring, written by Martin Fowler together with Kent Beck. And you can see here, this is the second edition of the book with a quote of Martin Fowler from 1999. So even the second edition of the book is already 25 years old. But that doesn't mean it's not relevant anymore. Oh, I see there is a magician there in the chat. Hello, fellow magician friends. All right. The way they describe code smells in the book is that a code smell is a surface indication that usually corresponds to a deeper problem in the system. And the key word here is usually, because it doesn't have to point to a problem. It can point to a problem. It all depends on the context, on your coding style, on the guidelines of your team. So a code smell is just something, when you look at code, you have this gut feeling that something might be off here. So why should you care about this at all if it might just be a problem, but it doesn't have to be? Well, first thing is communication. Whether you are a developer, a tester, somewhere in between, like my role, you need to speak a common language. And if you can show someone a piece of code and say, yeah, I think there's this code smell in there, instead of, I think there's something wrong with this. This helps a lot if people can just understand what you're talking about. It is also a step towards better code. If you combine that with clean code principles, design patterns, and these techniques and methodologies, it can make your code much, much better, or the code of someone else if you are reviewing code. It also leads to less technical debt. Technical debt is something that when you develop code, leaves something to be fixed later. And this can pile up in the future. So it's better to avoid problematic code early in the process instead of fixing it later. And also, of course, since this is a test automation meetup, testability. That's a key thing, because testable code is maintainable code. And the better the code is, the better its testability becomes. And this also applies when working with AI. This is a slide I added because of the talk before mine. Whenever you talk to a tool like ChatGPT or Copilot, you get code generated, and this also makes sense to know when there might be code smells in the generated code. So just not blindly accept what those tools give you, but if you see something, you can also talk back to it saying, I think there is this code smell in there, and then ChatGPT will make it better for you. This is also what was mentioned in the talk before. It's always good when you know something about the things that you want to get from ChatGPT. Well, there was a problem with this book. They listed a lot of code smells in there, but they were not really sorted and grouped and categorized. So it was not that easy to pinpoint certain code smells in the book. So that's why there was this taxonomy of code smells paper that has been written by those two people that I will not dare to to try and pronounce, from the Helsinki University of Technology. And they actually devised this categories and taxonomy of code smells. And this is what they came up with in the papers. And I don't want to scare you, but we will go through all of those. I will show you example code for all of them. But please bear with me. I think there's some fun examples in there. So let's start with the first category here, which is called bloaters. And a bloater is something in the code that is too large to handle. And as you will see in this first code smell, it doesn't mean that you have a lot of code if you have a bloater. This specific code smell is called long method. And that is a method that does too much. Again, I will point out the relevant lines so you don't have to try to understand the whole thing at first glance. It is about this method, save customer. Let's imagine we have a webshop class and the save customer method that we pass a customer into. And this will save the customer in some way. In this case, I just added it to a list. But as you see down here, it does something strange. It returns a string saying we have a new customer called, and then it prints out the customer name. At first glance, you may think, okay, this is not bad, but it is actually a method that does too much. It doesn't only save a customer, it also prints this string, we have a new customer. And this is something that a user of the save customer method would not expect. Also, it returns this value as a string, which is also weird for a save customer method. So it shouldn't return anything, or it should return the customer object, but dealing with a string is kind of strange. So this method is just doing too much out of its scope. The same thing can apply to classes and the methods within a class. So here I have a shopping cart class, and there are some methods like add product, remove product, and checkout that clearly belong to a shopping cart. But if you look at those, enter voucher code is not necessarily a part of the shopping cart itself, and contact support is clearly out of scope here, and that should be in a separate class. So this also is a code smell in the bloaters category, which is called large class. That simply means a class that does too much, a class that does things that are out of its scope. Another one is primitive obsession, which refers to primitive data types that you don't have in all of the programming languages, but you have them in Java, for example. And this is a code smell. It doesn't look like one. It just specifies a zip code as an integer, but this integer zip code can be a 0, it can be a negative zip code. You have zip codes that contain letters. We don't have those here in Germany, but there are countries that also have letters in the zip code. And this has no validation at all. And you see that this method, this customer, also has an age, which is also an integer. So that could get confusing for the user of this. They might mix up the age and the zip code. So there are actually a lot of problems in this tiny line of code. But again, it doesn't mean that it is bad. It just means that it can be bad. It's just a smell. The long parameter list is definitely something I have done before, and probably every developer has done. It just means you have too many parameters in a method. Here in the calculate result method of some example class, it doesn't matter what this is doing exactly. This accepts a lot of parameters, like a base value, a Boolean that's called isMetric, another Boolean that says is2D, an integer, which is an offset, and an integer that can be null, if you know a little bit about Java. So 5 parameters. That doesn't look that bad when you look at it first, but when you want to use this method, you can see that there is something off, because he would use it like this: calculate result, for example, 13 false, true, -1 null. If you don't have hints from your IDE, there is no way to really know if you're using this correctly or what the parameter combination is doing. And also, this is a nightmare to test. Imagine covering that with unit tests, all the possible combinations of parameters. That is a strong indication that it is a code smell. There's another one in the bloaters category called data clumps. This is about grouping of data. Here we have the customer again, and the customer has a last name, first name, a middle name, a salutation, which is all fine. But here it starts to get problematic. The customer has a street address, a city, a state, and a country. And this can be problematic because it doesn't really belong directly to the customer. You can have customers that live in the same address, in the same building, or you can have customers with multiple addresses. So that is an indicator that this should be separate. And this is employed and is homeowner. This is also something that might seem like it belongs to the customer core data, but it's not. And also, you probably don't want all of your developers or people in your company to see this data. So again, this is grouping of unrelated data, which can be bad. This is one full category down already. We have 4 to go, and I hope you're still with me. Let's go to the second one, which is the object-oriented programming abuses, which applies more to object-oriented languages, because this is about missing object-oriented design possibilities. This is a classic, switch statements. It's a method that branches out too much based on its inputs. In this case, I have a vehicles class with a number of wheels method. And yeah, I know it is a stupid method because you pass in a vehicle as a string, and it gives you back the number of wheels that this vehicle has. And for this, I wrote this this weird switch statement here that checks if the vehicle is a car, it returns 4 wheels. If it's a boat, it returns 0. I actually did some thought here and put bike and bicycle, which both returns 2. And for all the other vehicles, it returns unknown. But you can see that there is actually a problem. This only returns vehicles, only returns wheels for vehicles, nothing else. Whenever you have a new vehicle, you have to touch this number of wheels method. If it's in a separate class, if you have multiple classes that deal with vehicles, that can be really, really bad. And generally, again, this method is branching out too much, which is also harder to test. The next one in the OOP abuses category is called temporary field. And this is about field variables. So variables that belong to the class that are only used once. Actually, I struggled coming up with a good example for that, so I hope this one is okay. This is about a rectangle, and this rectangle has a method called getAreaSize. And an area size is just side A multiplied by side B. But if you look at this code, you might notice that side A and side B are here. That means in their initial state, both of those are 0. So if you create a new rectangle and then call the getAreaSize method on it, it will give you 0 because you haven't set the size yet. So here are the two set side A and set side B methods that actually set the length of each side. So what a user would have to do in this case is create the rectangle, call the set A and set side A and set side B methods to set the length of the sides, and then call the get area size method. This makes no sense. This would require a lot of documentation for something that you could just fix in one line by creating the rectangle directly with the two sides. So this is, you see that the side A and side B, you have to set through methods, and they're only set for one specific method, the get area size. I hope that was kind of clear, but it will get easier from here on. I really like this name of this mail. It's called Refused Bequest. And yes, it is bequest. This is passing unneeded behavior to classes. What does this mean? So we have an animal interface. And when I created that, I thought, okay, animals can speak. So let's require a speak method for the animals. And for a dog that implements this animal interface, this is absolutely true. So I override the speak method of the animal interface and print out woof, because for me, that makes sense that a dog goes woof. But then I got a requirement from a customer to implement a fish. So here, when you implement the animal interface and override the speak method, it does absolutely nothing, because fish cannot really speak. That's what this is about. You have something in your interface that you pass down to class instances that is not needed. So this can point to code smell. Different interfaces, that's just a fancy name for the confusing naming of similar functions. And I have done PHP in my past, many years ago, and I noticed this heavily in there. So here is a circle. We will get back to our friend the rectangle in a few seconds. This circle has a radius and it has a get area size method. And this calculates the area size of the circle. We don't have to go into detail of how to do that. The thing that is important here is the method name get area size. In the rectangle, this time we actually fixed it and pass in float A and float B, which are the two sides. It has the get surface size method, which does the same thing. It gets the surface size of the rectangle, but for a circle, it's called area size. For a rectangle, it's surface size. This just makes it unnecessarily harder for a user. And this is actually one of the code smells that are easiest to fix. Just rename the method and you're done. We are already in the third category, which is called change preventers. And change preventers are things in your code that hinder further development. The first one is called divergent change. And again, some of these code smells have very fancy terms. This just means that you have to do changes across methods. And for this example, I have an animal information class with a get Latin name method. And I'm doing the same strange thing as the vehicle class before. I pass in an animal as a string. and then I return the Latin name for that animal. In this case, horse, and it returns however you say the Latin name for the horse. And in any other case, it just returns an empty string. And then I have another method in this class, get number of legs, which again has the animal parameter as a string. And this returns the number of legs, in this case 4. For any other case, it returns -1. But you can probably spot the problem right away. If you have another animal, like, I don't know, a spider, you would have to add this to the first get Latin name method and to the second get number of legs method. Otherwise, you could run into problems if you just implement it in one place. And this, for 2 methods, it might be okay, but in some bigger projects, there might be tens or hundreds of methods that would be required. This can also be found across classes when you have to make those changes across different classes. And there it's called shotgun surgery. Again, one of my favorite code smell names. You could imagine a shotgun loaded with a fix for something, and then you shoot it across your whole code base. I have a similar example here. In this case, I split the example from before into 2 classes, a classification class that has the get Latin name method for the animal that does the exact same thing, and a body parts class that has the get number of legs method. It's pretty similar, but here you have to make changes across classes. So not just in a single file, but across your whole code base. And modern IDEs will help you with this, but I wouldn't trust the IDE in any case that it finds everything. Parallel hierarchy. Sorry in advance, this is one of the 2 examples that are kind of hard to grasp, and I struggled a lot finding a good example here. It's about implementation of parallel interface hierarchies. Let me try to explain. Imagine you have a bird class, and you have a specific kind of bird, like a sparrow, that extends this. So far, so good. And then there is an egg class. And you have a specific egg for the sparrow, which is a sparrow egg that might have some specific traits like color and size that is specific to this sparrow egg. And then inside the sparrow, you have a lay egg method that returns a new sparrow egg. So if you can see me on screen, you have the bird and you have the sparrow inheriting from it. And on the other side, you have the egg and the sparrow egg inheriting from it. So you have 2 similar hierarchies on both sides that you have to keep in sync in this case. So if you add another bird, you have to branch out both of those interfaces into a specific bird and a specific egg again. That can get really, really complicated and confusing. Well, we're getting along quite well. We are already at the dispensables. This is one of the easiest categories because this is about unnecessary things in your code that can most likely be removed. A lazy class is an example. It's a class that only has a single method. We have the web shop here again, and it has a class web shop checkout with just one method, checkout. This is all. The thing is, this can be a code smell if a class does only one very tiny thing in a method, but it can also be desired. There are actually software design patterns that that need this, like a command pattern or a memento pattern. This is a design pattern for code or for functionality that can be undone. There, it makes a lot of sense. This is also what you have to keep in mind all the time. Is this a code smell? Does it point to a problem in your current context where you're finding this? Or might it be something that is desired for the functionality? A data class is another category here. It's a class that holds data belonging to it, but not the logic belonging to it. I don't know why I'm obsessed with rectangles, but apparently I am. There is this rectangle again with a side A and the side B. And here we can create one of those rectangles with a side of 5 and a side of 20. And the key thing that points to a code smell is here. We're getting the rectangle area by doing the multiplication of side A and side B again, but this is outside of the rectangle itself. This is done in the main method of your application. That means that when you need a rectangle area in any other place in your code, you have to duplicate this functionality again. It would be much, much nicer if that belonged to the rectangle itself. This is probably the easiest code smell to see. Also, IDEs and modern tooling can help you a lot with this. Duplicate code. It's the same code used multiple times. We are here in the customers class again, and in the add customer function, I have this line here to just give me an output of all the customers we currently have with a simple print statement. And I'm doing the exact same thing in the remove customers method in production code. By the way, I would never do that like this. But the key is that you're using the exact same line here. And if you ever want to change how you log the customers, maybe to a log file or a database or wherever you want, you would have to change that again in multiple places, and it would be much nicer to have that in a separate method that you can call from different places. That's a classic dead code. It's code that cannot be reached and will never be executed in your system. Again, IDEs can help you with that, or static code analysis tools. In this example, I implemented a getPy function that just returns the value of pi. But later, a colleague told me, wait, Java already has a pi constant that you can use in the math package. And from that point on, I used this, but I still have the getPy method down there. So this will never get used. Also, if you see this line here, the system out print line returning pi, if you've spotted this, congratulations. It's actually code that cannot be reached because it's after the return in the getPy method. So it's actually dead code inside of dead code. This is one of the things that I had many arguments about. It's about premature future proofing. I will get to this in a little while again. This code smell is called speculative generality. And again, we have an interface here, this time for a printer. And it has two methods to print some text and one method to turn on or off. And here I have my laser printer class that implements this printer interface and then overrides these two methods. It seems all fine at first, but I only have one printer. So why do I need this printer interface at that point already? This is premature future proofing, because it would make sense to only extract that interface as soon as you have a class, another printer, another kind of printer, like an inkjet printer. But as long as you just have one, why have an interface? That just is something that I think is unnecessary. We are at the last category, which is called couplers. It's too much or too little coupling between objects in your code. This is feature envy. It's a class implementing features of another. It's kind of like the example with the rectangle and that didn't have the code to calculate its own area. Here we have an address, and this address is made of street, city, and country. And here, inside of the user is get address string, which returns the address as a string. And you can see that this string is constructed by using the address.street, address.city, address.country. So it's actually the user class providing this string representation of the address that should technically belong to the address itself. So it's a case of feature envy. I love this name of this code smell, inappropriate intimacy. It's about classes that know each other too well. Like this book. We have a book class which has an author, and we have an author class. And this author knows the book. So we have a circular reference here. We have a book knowing its author and the author knowing the book. Here, of course, a book could have multiple authors, and also an author could have written multiple books. So this is really inappropriate intimacy that shouldn't be, because it just ties us into this one relationship. Classic one that I do all the time, I have to say. Sometimes I like it and sometimes I feel guilty about it. It's message chains. It's returning objects that return other objects again, like here. You don't really have to look at all the code around it. Let's just imagine it's a storehouse, and this storehouse has a list of products and a list of shelves, and each shelf has multiple products, and products have descriptions. So to get the description of a specific product in a specific shelf, we would do shelves.getZero, which would be the first shelf in the list, .products.getZero, which is the first product in the first shelf, and then description. This is a method, a message chain, and this can be desired, but you have a lot of problems here because in each step of the process, you could get null values. So your code would miserably fail at that point. So it can be a good tool to keep your code concise, but it can also be dangerous. So you have to be really sure what you're doing. And when I'm not mistaken, this is the last code smell of the whole list. It's called middleman. It's a class accessing another one on its behalf. And we have the address and customer example again. After that, I will never talk about addresses or customers again. I will promise. The address is a street, has a street and a city. And the customer gets passed in the address. And then when we want to get the city from the customer, there is a getCity method that just returns the city from the address. And we have a getStreet method that returns the street from the address. But you see what's happening here? The customer is cloning functionality of the address. It's just wrapping it in a method, getCity and getStreet, when you could just call customer.address.city instead. So this is completely unnecessary to do this. So here we have it. We talked about all of the code smells here in all of the categories. There are actually more than these, but those are the ones from the book. I also have all the example code, all the classes and methods I showed you here in my GitHub repository. If you want to look at it again and maybe fix it, that would be nice. And for the last part, I would like to quickly talk about when to tackle code smells, because there are certain times in the software development lifecycle that are better to tackle those. Well, you might have heard of the broken window syndrome. It's about the long-term effects of unfixed code. It's a theory that when you have a broken window in a house that is not fixed in the next days, people just get used to it and they might break other windows and eventually they might leave their garbage in the hallways. So this whole house is becoming a mess. This is not really proven in real life that this happens, but it is proven in the software world that this can be a really problem. Yeah, I just read, yes, it's mentioned in the book Freakonomics. Thank you, Paul. And it is can be dangerous if you just leave those things in the code and say, I'm going to fix them later, because other people will look at that code and say, okay, if code like this is in there, I don't feel guilty adding my own code that has those problems. YAGNI, which stands for You Ain't Gonna Need It. This is about the premature future-proofing I talked about, wasting time with future requirements. If you remember the example with the printer and the interface, you save a lot of time if you do not try to make your code future-proof. There is always time when it's needed to do this. Until then, it just makes your code harder to maintain for those cases that might never happen in the future. And the campground rule, that just means leave the campground cleaner than you found it. When you apply it to source code, it is if you work on some code and you find one of those tiny smells, maybe it's a good time to just fix it. Of course, not just fix it and push it, but maybe talk to the person who wrote it in the first place if it's okay. Because I know it from myself. If you say, okay, I'll make it work and then I'll make it pretty later will most likely not come because you will have other things to do. So code reviews are generally a good time and a good place to point out those code smells before it's too late. I have talked a little bit about technical debt, and this is something you have to be careful with, of course, when you point those out, because you need to be very polite. Don't just say, haha, I found something that might be wrong, but really talk about it with the developers and say, yeah, maybe I found an inappropriate intimacy here, so everybody knows what you're talking about, and then fix it. Yeah, some more information if you're interested what you can do to fix those smells. There is the refactoring catalog under refactoring.com/catalog. That is actually the site that belongs to the refactoring book, which has a lot of information about how to fix code smells, what strategies you can use. Rather useful. Then there is the Refactoring Guru website that has similar kind of content, but it just looks a little nicer. And it actually uses the categories and the taxonomy of the code smells that I showed you. And this one is a really nice website from Marcel Jesik. It's under this github.io address. And he actually created a website that you can filter by specific smells. And he actually wrote a thesis about code smells. So there's a lot of valuable information in there. And because I was kind of inspired by the talk before mine, I tried to find a quick example using Microsoft Copilot. I will not do that live, but trust me, it does work. I just gave it the first example code snippet and asked it, which code smells can you identify in this code? And when I did this, it actually generated, I think, 2 full pages of text and a lot of information that were not really useful. But let me also say that this prompt, which code smells can you identify in this code, is very, very short and not very specific. So that's all right. But what I want to show you is this part of the answer was the 5th bullet point, single responsibility principle violation. The save customer method is doing 2 things, saving the customer and creating a message. It would be better to separate these responsibilities into 2 methods. Bingo. It actually pinpointed the long method code smell. It didn't really say what it was, but it directly gave a hint of what could be better about that method. And this is the power of these AI tools, that you can just talk to it like a fellow developer, and together you can just figure out a good solution. Yeah, I just, for myself, I needed to show that smelly code slide again. And with this, thanks a lot for listening to me and listening to all my ramblings about code smell. And I hope there was something in it that was valuable for you.
Benjamin, that was fantastic. I believe I am guilty of quite a few code smells inside of that we had there, and I gotta tell you that the Copilot is fantastic. I mean, that's just a blessing
Yeah.
for anyone who's working in coding, whatever your IDE happens to be. If it, I think Copilot is supported in Visual Studio Code.
Yeah.
I believe there's also an AI add-in if you happen to be working in like JetBrains tools. There's also an AI tool in there for checking your code and stuff.
Yeah, actually, I use all of those. I use the Microsoft / GitHub Copilot in VS Code in IntelliJ IDEA. I know JetBrains also has an own AI tool that I haven't tried yet, but I also use the Copilot that is a part of the Bing search engine. Also, ChatGPT, and yeah, always playing around with those tools. But so far, I have to say the Copilot integration in the IDE is the most powerful for me because it can actually look at the code that you have in your project, which is just incredible.
Yeah, I love it, especially when it gets. In fact, on that last demo, you gave showed the recommendation of how to improve what you've already got in there. I get that a lot as well. I wanted to circle back around to campground rules, where never later never comes. I think it may lead to something that I've always called, which is called the pony requirement, the pony list, which is basically when I put in a request for a feature or change and it's deemed so low that it's so low on the list that I'll get that pony I wanted for Christmas before this thing is going to get fixed. Essentially becomes, yeah, we'll fix it later. Like later, it never comes unless you got somebody who's like really pushing for it. Listen, I know it seems small, but please get it up there so that we make everybody happy.
Yeah, what you can actually do in your team is have sessions like paper cutting sessions where you just focus on fixing those very, very small things, like in an hour or two. That is really valuable, just to get rid of those code smells, and it's really satisfying too.
I'm going to go do that and introduce that on my current project. I also, like you were mentioning, Yagni, you ain't going to need it. I've seen situations where this is kind of the opposite, where the feature is so interesting and cool, but they won't release it until it covers like 100% of everybody's expectation. And it's like, it's getting 90%, 95% of everybody happy. Let's get it out there. And they're like, no, we still got that 5% we got to cover. We got to figure it out and think about, no, just put it out there. If you figure it out in 2 months, 3 months, okay, cherry on top of the pie, but give me the pie, man.
Yeah, and this is exactly what those things like feature flags and CI/CD pipelines and continuous integration is for, to just push out stuff and then make it better over time and not wait and release it maybe after other companies release something like this.
Yep. Yeah. You also mentioned dead code. I actually worked on a project at one point where it was one of my first automation projects I did on a X-ray machine, and we needed to find, the requirement came out that says how much of our code is actually testable, how much do the manual testers hit, how much does the automation hit. So I wrote a recursive crawler that just basically on the first page grabbed all the links and went, let's go to the next thing. And they turned on and by the way, this was 20 years ago, so I'm sure it's much faster, but they turned on the tracker to see how many lines of code got touched by that stuff. And they said, oh, you're only hitting 80%. But then one of the developers came by and said, the other 20% is all inside this function. We wrote it, but we don't call it anywhere. So it's unreachable. He's actually getting closer to 95% coverage on the whole thing, and pointed out some areas where we have made a small, just haven't gone far enough on that.
Yeah,
Hey, go ahead.
Yeah, if you use source code versioning systems, there is actually no need at all to leave any code that you're not using in there, because you have it available all the time. The same is can be said for documentation. Don't leave documentation in there of things that are not there.
Yes, definitely. That is one of the things I do like also about ChatGPT and Copilot, is that one of the things we always leave off, and this is like never later never comes. I will document this later. Using ChatGPT to go, please go write the headers for my functions, go document whatever needs it. That is an amazing time saver and makes things so much easier. Especially if you have to look back at the code, 6 months later and go, man, I was brilliant back then. What the heck was I doing? I wish I documented it.
Yeah, and I always say no documentation is better than outdated documentation. That leads you down a garden path. So
yeah. I have some good news for you. I did post the link to your book, Writing API Tests with Karate, up in our chat over there if anyone wants to get it. And the other good news is that you have a new sale, because while I was watching this, I went and picked up a book. It should be arriving at my front door in a couple of days. So I'm going to go write it. You and I have the exact same publisher, Pack Publishing, so we're really happy to have them and promote that. So we got about 3 minutes left. I'm trying to think of other things. I guess I wanted to. There isn't a lot of questions over here, so I'm just kind of asking a few things. The one thing I didn't quite catch is the inappropriate relationship slide that you had up there. If we could have our back guys, can you share Ben's screen so you can go back to that slide? I wanted to see if we get a little bit better understanding of what that was about. And let's see if our backstage runner can bring up our slide, our shared screen for Ben. Or he's taking he's doing afternoon tea. Ben, you guys share. He's saying, Ben, share your screen.
Oh, I'm not sharing anymore.
Yeah. I think it automatically cuts it off once it gets shut off. So try one more time. Let's see. There we are. Yeah, give me a little bit more about what was going on there, if you don't mind.
Yeah, the book class and the author class. Usually, you would have a relationship of a book with authors or an author with books. But in this case, we have both. We have a circular relationship of the author of the book that knows the author, and of the author knowing the book. This is again something that can be desired in like ORM systems that deal with databases and database abstraction. If you have this circular dependency, but in most cases, this is not needed. You would have a book class and an author class, and you would have a third class that connects those two.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. One of the other ones I saw, you can look on Wikipedia. There's a list also of bad code programming anti-patterns. If you look on Wikipedia, there's bacon wrapped in ham, which is essentially rewriting a function and wrapping another function that just calls the other function.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I have a use for that, but it kind of makes me chuckle when I see that. Ben, I gotta say, thank you very much for joining us on the Zappletech meeting. It has been a great pleasure, a great learning experience. I gotta go fix a bunch of my code, or I'll have ChatGPT or Copilot go fix it for me. Any last things? Any anyway, if you want to have people talk to you, communicate, or is there any website or anything else you might want to share?
The easiest way is to go to my website, softwaretester.blog, which also lists all my social media contacts. It's just down there, written on the slide. And this is where I also occasionally have articles about software tests and code craftsmanship.
Perfect. Well, again, Ben, thank you very much for your time, and we definitely will invite you back to share more insights on stuff. Good luck with the book. And
For you too.
thank you very much. Yeah. If didn't quite catch, there it is. The also by Pack Publishing, enhanced test automation with WebDriver.io. Give that a plug over there. We will have another session next month in March, February, March or April. We'll probably have Larry Goddard come back. Larry is my co-author on that book as well, and he's always fun to have to do these sessions. I'm always happy to be here and take some time, and it's an easy way to learn all sorts of new stuff. So I'm going to say on behalf of Zappletech and Ben, thank you very much for coming, and Jan as well. And we do have this session recorded. It should be on the YouTube channel right after we're done here. And everybody, have yourself a great day. Stay safe and keep automating. Cheers.
Thanks for having me. Bye.